A proposal in Colorado would increase property taxes on short-term rentals by 4 times the value. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting topic for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Colorado. So I've talked many times in different videos about how a lot of these local municipalities and states, they're targeting short-term rentals, okay? They don't like it that these people are out there, they're basically operating what they consider to be lodging or hotels out of residential properties, right? And so they're creating laws and rules and regulations to regulate such a thing. Now, I'm 100% against this. In my opinion, people should be able to use their property as they see fit. Now, I know that there are these nightmare stories about these property owners who, you know, the tenants come in there, or the guests, I guess you could say, come in there, they throw wild parties, they cause all sorts of problems for the neighbors, right? But my opinion is that those owners should be dealt with individually with the laws already on the books. The guests who are causing the problem should be dealt with individually. And we shouldn't punish all short-term rental operators because of a few bad apples. And believe me, it is very few, very small proportion of bad apples. So, you know, to me, when it comes to property rights, the landlord should be able to do what they want to do with their property, within reason, of course. Okay, I'm not talking about building a nuclear waste dump in the basement of your house here. I'm talking about having people who temporarily stay in your house for a short period of time, but don't have those long-term leases. Now, I'm a long-term landlord. I've never done a short-term rental before, but I do believe in other people's rights to operate one. So, you know, when I see these laws like what they're proposing in Colorado, I mean, it's going to really, really hurt a lot of operators. And there's going to be a lot of people who just go out of business if this is passed. Because what they want to do is they want to drastically increase the amount of property taxes that they're charging to these short-term rentals. And my problem with that is that, you know, you're creating a different tiered system for the same class of property. You know, like all of a sudden you're saying, okay, well, this house right here, the property taxes are X, but the one immediately right next to it that's a long-term rental, well, the property taxes are Y. Well, what if they decided, well, you know what, we can go further than this. We're not just going to target short-term rentals. We're going to target long-term rentals as well. So the homeowners, you know, if you own a home in the place, you pay X. If you are a landlord, you pay Y. And if you are a short-term rental host or operator, you pay Z. So now you've got three different schemes for charging people property tax rates, all for homes that could be literally right next to each other. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So first of all, what do you think of short-term rentals? Are you for or against them being, you know, like in residential neighborhoods? Do you think that these are detrimental to the neighborhoods they're in? Do you think that they are a net positive? Keep in mind, Colorado is a very touristy place, you know, when we're talking about some of these mountain towns, etc., right? So this proposal, even though it might be targeting some of the more urban places where a lot of people live, it could have a very detrimental impact on those touristy areas, you know, these ski resort towns, etc. So, you know, this could be something that's very, very bad, okay? The second thing I want to ask is, do you think that this proposal to charge 4 times the property taxes on short-term rental properties, do you think this is fair? Now, these are separate questions. Whether you like short-term rentals or not, you know, having this different tiered system for property taxes, do you think that's a good idea? Okay, so anyway, let's get into this article. This article is coming from CBSNewsColorado.com, and it says, bill to be introduced in Colorado would increase property taxes on short-term rentals by 4x the value. Yeah, that's a huge increase. Okay, so let's see what the article says about it. Bill co-sponsor Chris Hansen, state senator for District 31, admitted right off the bat the first draft of Bill 6, now Senate Bill 33, needed adjustment. Lots of conversation since then, and we're planning some big adjustments to it as it moves through the process, Hansen said. So what was the bill proposed and supposed to do? Hansen said he's trying to fix discrepancies in tax rates for places renting rooms or beds. I think the short answer is we're really trying to make sure that there's a tax fairness and tax equity, and that the services that are required by different types of properties are correctly categorized and paid for. His example was hotels who end up filing taxes as a residence instead of a large company in order to avoid larger tax rates and pocketing money that could otherwise be going to the local school districts or emergency services if the county so chooses. So yeah, he uses some wild out there example. Oh, it'll be a hotel, like you're going to have some big 50-room hotel that suddenly, oh no, we're just a residence. No. That's not what this is about. This is about short-term rentals. He's trying to mislead people so that they are more sympathetic to his argument, and I just don't agree with that, okay? It's complete garbage. So what does this really come down to? We have a property, right? And just depending on how it is used at the time, you want to charge a different tax rate for it. So if, for example, an owner-occupant lives in this property that I'm in right now, then I would pay, let's say, $10,000 a year in taxes. But if I decided to turn this property into a short-term rental, well, I might have to pay 4 times that amount, $40,000 a year. Insane, right? Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 4 times that amount because they base the tax rates on the value. It might be 4 times that amount. Maybe they'll clarify a little bit more in this article. I think there are a few clear examples where this is a tax loophole, Hansen said. The Sheraton Hotel in Steamboat, I think, is the most egregious example. But there are others like that it's a hotel, Hansen said, laughing. As my dad would say, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. The bill would assess how many days a rental would be used and try to base tax rates around that meter. From the bill's current language, if during the previous property tax year, a short-term rental unit was leased for short-term stays for more than 90 days, then it is classified as a lodging property. Otherwise, it is classified as a residential real property. That's where a lot of the fuss is now coming from. Stephen Frummis, with a property management company in Breckenridge called Alpine Edge, said that's the difference between a short-term rental being taxed at 6.7% for property taxes to 27%. He believes a lot of his clients simply will not make a profit if this goes through and will stop renting, which in turn will deplete the short-term rental options in mountain towns and also put him and his colleagues out of business. Yeah, it absolutely would, okay? That is excessively high property taxes. It's hard to believe that commercial property taxes on lodging are that high, but you know what? A lot of these businesses, right? I mean, they're operating on razor thin margins, and it's easy to see why, they're looking for some sort of tax relief. I'm one of those people who believes in minimal government, minimal taxes, right? And so when you tell me that, oh, well, these taxes are being cut, I don't see it like you're stealing from people. I see it as you're letting them keep the money that they already had, okay? And my personal opinion is the government should learn to do with less tax money. Okay, we should be looking for ways to cut taxes, not raise taxes on people or businesses in our communities. Okay, we already pay too much, but that's not the way these politicians see it. They see it as their job to squeeze every single dollar out of every business, every individual within a community, and the result, well, you see the businesses leaving, you see them going out of business, and this sort of law is exactly the kind of driving factor that would put a lot of these short-term rental operators out of business. And you might be saying, okay, well, we're going after this large hotel who is kind of trying to play the system off, right? But you're going to put out all of the smaller operators. You're going to put them out of business as well. So yeah, it's bad. It's just not going to work. It's unworkable. And you know what? I don't agree with it. There's hot tub technicians, there's cleaners, there's accountants, there's property managers, there's maintenance technicians of all kinds, handymen, and all tradesmen that have to maintain these properties, Frummis said. I'm worried this place will become a ghost town. There is at the very least one second homeowner Howe has said as much. Christine Lee and her husband built their second home in Summit County in hopes to rent it out as a short-term rental, part as an investment and partially to pay for the expensive build. Midway through our build, the game changed dramatically, Lee explained. Not only did Summit County establish a short-term rental cap for the number of times they can rent out the property, but if this bill goes through, it will also potentially raise her property taxes, squeezing her from either side. It is not fair to tax me when I'm limited in that capacity, Lee said. We're also not a hotel. Yeah, and that is the story that you're going to see all throughout the state of Colorado, okay? Not just in the mountain towns or whatever. You're going to see this in, the bigger cities as well, okay? So this is, like I said, I don't believe that this is fair to the property owners. Think about this small property owner who says, hey, I just want to build a second home, rent it out as a short-term rental, maybe use it for a few weeks a year for personal use. And now I can't do that because, the county has put a cap on the number of short-term rentals, or they put a cap on the number of days you can rent the property out, or they put strict rules and regulations and licenses and all this garbage on top of these property owners, right? That make it more difficult for them to operate. And I don't like it. I don't like it, okay? And keeping that in mind, right? I want to know your opinion. So put down in the comments what you think of this whole situation, because, I realized that, last time I made one of these videos, I had a lot of people and they were like, hey, no, I hate short-term rental. And this was from other landlords. They were like, I hate short-term rentals. I hate them coming into residential neighborhoods, etc. So, I'd like to know other people's opinions of what's going on in Colorado right now.